Unlike the movie Jaws, there's going to be no boating accident as the Sharks come to Carolina and the Hurricanes are going to be looking to cancel Shark Week on Tuesday night at Lenovo Center.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I'm also the co-host of the Searchcast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fun show for you guys on Tuesday as we get to preview the San Jose Sharks coming into town to face your Carolina Hurricanes to kick off a 4-game homestand over the next couple weeks. Also, we'll be talking about the lines that we saw from Monday's practice, mainly the forward core, and what we could be possibly looking at for the morning skate on Tuesday. We also get to hear from Rod Brendan Moore after practice for Monday, and then we're going to go into the keys of the game and the players to watch. But before we get into all of that, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, like I said, the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be hosting the San Jose Sharks are coming to town. This is the first of their 2-game regular season set, as this will be at 7 p.m. Eastern on FanDuel Sports South, and it's going to be, of course, on 99.9 The Fan. And the second game will be in San Jose, but that's going to be later on March 20th. But looking at overall what the Canes are at right now, yes, they're not in a great stretch where you have a tough 3-game set go post Thanksgiving where you lose to the Panthers the way you do. You host the Kraken, not the greatest game all season, probably not the greatest game in Red Moore's tenure. Then you go beat the Colorado Avalanche. Then, unfortunately, it's a game on Long Island where you gave up multiple goals in the second period once again, and that's kind of a game you let slip away. Now you come and face a San Jose Sharks team who are 10-15-5, who actually just on Monday made some trades. They traded Mackenzie Blackwood and Giovanni Smith in the draft picks to Colorado to get Alexander Georgiev, Andrei Kovalenko, and other draft picks as well. So now you're looking at 2 guys who were just in Carolina not that long ago with the Avalanche. Now they're coming back once again within less than a week to face you, and now they're on the Sharks. So it'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. But, it's a team who's overhauling their group right now. And you look across the board, and, of course, I've said it when it comes to looking at the tail of the tape. It could say one thing, but when it comes to the ice, it's a completely different thing. Because right now the Carolina Hurricanes are still second on the power play in the NHL with 29.5, and the Sharks are at 17.5 and 23rd. Fourth on the penalty kill at 83.5. Fourth in faceoffs at 52.9. They are still averaging 3.74 goals per game, and that's fourth in the AHL. But now they've gone outside of the top 10 in goals allowed at 2.96 because they're right now they're allowing a lot of goals right now, and it's definitely something they need to work on in terms of if they want to shore up the defense and tighten it up a little bit. And going back to limiting teams to 1-2 goals a game, they're really going to have to pick it up because they've been giving up a lot recently. For the Sharks, like I said, they're 23rd in power play, but they're also 10th on the penalty kill at 80.8. So they are actually a decent penalty killing team. Face-off percentage, 21st at 49.3. They are averaging 2.73 goals per game, which is 24th in the AHL, and then goals allowed at 3.47, which is 28th. So when you look at the goal for the Hurricanes, you're averaging 3.74. The Sharks are giving up 3.47. You're almost – this is a perfect spot for you to be in where you should be able to put a lot of goals up on the Sharks right now, who are, like I said, doing a lot of changes in net. They're still trying to turn, they have a goals against average as a goaltending group now of a 3.47. That's 3.38 with Georgiev. Vitek Vanecek is a 3.89, and it is a team overall save percentage is 895. 874 for Georgiev, Vanecek 883. And it's one of those things where this could be a prime opportunity for the Hurricanes to get into a good spot and get back into the win column and kick off this 4-game homestand the right way, because right now you have to take advantage of a Sharks team who's, playing, they're 4-5-1 in their last 10, lost back-to-back against Florida and Tampa. Of course, they had a 3-game winning streak with over Washington and back-to-back against Seattle. But the thing is, the Hurricanes are also 4-5-1 in their last 10, with a loss to the Islanders, beat Colorado, then they had that 3-game losing streak. So right now, it's still the same kind of trajectory for the Hurricanes and the Sharks, but the Hurricanes are in a lot better spot in terms of where they're at as a team, to where, the Sharks are still in the middle of rebuild, but they're still one of the lower teams in the league, especially, losing the other night 8-1 to Tampa. But the Hurricanes are a lot farther than when people thought they were going to be. Like, you're still talking about a team who's third in the Metro right now. Some people thought they were going to make wild card 2 or even miss the playoffs. But the Hurricanes are in a lot better spot. The Rangers, as of Monday night, are getting booed off the ice against the Blackhawks. But the Hurricanes, I believe, are in a spot that are way ahead of what people thought they were going to be. Like, we knew they were going to take a slight step back. It wasn't like they were going to fall off a cliff. And right now, they're still playing good hockey, but despite, being in this rough stretch. Overall, like I said, you'll take 17-9-1 through 27 games. And you're seeing Martin Necas on a franchise record pace. Like, when I'm talking Hurricanes relocation records, we're talking franchise plus Whalers type stuff. Now, looking at the Sharks overall, the guy you really have to keep an eye on is Marcus Granlund. Because Granlund, 30 points in 28 games, 10 goals, 20 assists. Of course, you have Eklund, 23 points in 29 games. Zetterlund's got 20 and 30. So, you kind of see some guys that are doing their jobs. Tyler Toffoli does have 19 points, but he's a -10. Will Smith, -10 with 11. Macklin's still bringing 15 points, -5. Looking at the defense, Wallman, the guy they got from the Detroit Red Wings, 20 points in 25 games, +7. But then it's like Cody Ceci, -6 with 6 points. Ferraro, 6 points, -14. Timothy Liljegren, 5 points, -2. Jan Ruda, 3 points, -7 in 30 games. Like I said, this is a while they might have 2 or 3 guys on the Sharks that are playing really good hockey, this still is a team who's 10, 15, and 5. You should take advantage of this team, and you should be able to get 2 points. And like I said, this isn't your grandfather's NHL where it's an automatic 2, but this is a game where you have to win, because the last thing you want to do is lose another game for your 10th loss of the season against a Sharks team who just got obliterated the other night against Tampa. They're having a rough go at it again for another season. Yes, they just got a trade for a goalie from the Avalanche, and yes, they picked up a winger, but that's still not going to be enough for those guys to go in and come into Carolina and do something. If you're the Hurricanes, this is a game where you have to win. And looking at the Hurricane side of things, you got Martin Necas, 42 points, 27 games played. He's got 20 assists. Now, he's 2 assists away from him to be the first guy to hit 30 assists on the team. He's almost at 15 already. You're +5, 7 power play goals, 5 game-winning goals. Necas right now is on pace to do something great this week, and that's just on what his projection is right now. Sebastian Aho, still 29 points in 27 games, still, quietly over a point per game guy. He is a -6, and that's the thing that's going to be concerning with him and Svechnikov, that they're combined -10, and that's not even including Seth Jarvis, who's also a -5, but of course, that's what happens when a top line like that gets caught up against the other team's best lines. But, Andrei Svechnikov, still 24 points in 27 games. Jarvis, 18 points in 20 games. So you have a lot of guys that are within either a point or over a point. Of course, Martin Necas is way above, far and beyond where he's at right now. And you still got Eric Robinson at 17 points, Roslovic at 16. This still is a team that can put up points and still score goals. I mean, look at the defense. You're still looking at Jalen Sheffield and Dmitry Orlov, who are a combined plus 30 as a duo. 14 points for Orlov, 8 for Sheffield. Let's not even forget about Shane Gostisbehere. 24 points in 27 games. Yes, he's a -5 with Walker because they've had a rough go as of late. But you're still talking about Shane Gostisbehere, who as a defenseman is almost at a point per game. And you're looking at goaltending, Pierre Kochetkov, started against the Islanders, probably going to see him against the Sharks as well. He's 11-4-0, has an .893 save percentage and 268 goals against. His goals against isn't bad. His save percentage isn't the worst. It's sub 900, but it's a lot better than what you've seen from other goalies. It's just a weird phase we're in right now for the Hurricanes of recent play since Utah, especially recent play since Thanksgiving. And you have to think that every team hits a rough patch, and I think this is where this could be hopefully a Kickstarter to getting out of it and start rolling as the next few games, because you want to take advantage of this homestand, because you have the Capitals later this month, and then you have a day off, and then you have a back-to-back. Then you have almost the entire week off to the rest of the weekdays off until you hit Friday. They have a Friday, Saturday back-to-back against the Devils, home and at home, and then you get Columbus on the 31st in 2024. So this is a stretch of where you need to win games now before you hit the end of the month, where it's going to be once again another gauntlet where you have 3 games in 3 games in 4 days, and then not even later that weekend you have another back-to-back against a divisional rival in the Devils, where that's 4 division points on the line, where you can really gain ground on those guys and hopefully maybe stretch out second place to catch the Capitals, who are for whatever reason doing what they're doing this year. So overall, when you look at the tail of the tape and look at where what guys are at right now on each team, like I said, it's not a gimme, but this is a game the Hurricanes should easily go out and take care of business, get back in the win column, get number 18 on the season, get your 11th home win, and move on from that. So there was a practice on Monday. We saw some different lines that we haven't seen before. I know a lot of people aren't really happy about it, but we are going to take a look at it and see what possible lines we might see at morning skate on Tuesday going into Tuesday night's game against the San Jose Sharks, and we will hear from Rod Brindamore as well. So stick around, as we'll do that here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. You can win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. No need to win. The $50 is guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers a fun weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday, where select player projections are kind of up to 25%. This week on PrizePicks, I'm eyeing the hockey board. I'm looking at maybe Martin Necas getting 1.5 points in the game against the Sharks, and maybe also, Sebastian Aho getting more than 1 assist. It's so simple to make my picks and have fun with friends while potentially cashing out fast. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly. Where you can do this? PrizePicks, where you can run your game. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Now, the Hurricanes had practice where they have 4 straight games starting tonight against the Sharks at Lenovo Center for 4-game homestand. Monday we had a practice where we saw Martin Necas on the top line with Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis. Then it was the line of Robinson, Drury, Blake, then Martin Ekstall, Svechnikov on the third line, and then Carrier, Kotkaniemi, and Roslovic. Now the thing to point out is that Robinson, Drury, Blake was your opening night 4th line, now considered your second line. Of course, Rod is the number of his lines, but it's really the second line how it looks on the sheets. Now, Necas, Aho, Jarvis, this is going to be a very interesting line. I think that line for me is kind of what stands out the most, because you already know how good Aho and Jarvis are together. Now you're putting a guy like Necas on that line with those two guys who already have instant chemistry. What does that say for, you're putting the speed of Necas on that line with those two guys? Now you're going to have a team, they're going to have teams focusing on how do you guard against that? Because you have a puck retrieval, hound in Jarvis, who, while small, still throws his body around, still fights for pucks, and still is able to create chances. You got the facilitator in Aho, and now you got Martinicius, who's on a world, still maintaining a world hot start. So what do you do how do you cover that line? Then, like I said, then you got that second line of Rob's injury, Blake back once again from your fourth to your second. How's that going to play out with those guys getting top 6 minutes together? Svechnikov with the Jordans. I'm curious to see how that plays out, because you're talking two big defensive forward bodies with a guy like Svechnikov who's a power forward. How does that work out for those guys? Who's going to score goals? Who's going to, facilitate, play defense, and all that? Then, of course, Carrier, Kotkaniemi, Rosovic, where you have Kotkaniemi playing his defensive style as a center with Rosovic scoring at will right now. He's mainly the main shooter. And then you have Carrier, who's your battering ram. So I can see where Rod is trying to form these lines. I know a lot of people on the internet are not happy about it, because you look at that top line, okay, wow, there's a lot of firepower. You got your main guys on there. But now you got Svech on the third line with the Jordans. Now you got the fourth line as your second line. And I know a lot of people are like, well, KK's been playing well this season. Yeah, he had one bad game. Why is he now going, I think, is his 8th straight game on the fourth line? It's just, right now it's Rod says it's not a demotion, but you're seeing the numbers getting cut by him. It's not the greatest per se, but I think the fact that he's seeing what Jack Drury's doing as a second line center, I think that's why, with him winning leading the team in face-off percentages and kind of being that guy right now, I think Rod's giving him the opportunity to see what he can do with more time at the second line center. While I know a lot of people want to see KK there, it's just not working out as of right now. So I know it's a tough spot for a lot of people to see that. It's just, it's experimenting new lines, seeing what can click. And I know because, they don't want to move lines around because it's not working mid-game. Now they're going to try to see how it looks in a practice, test it out, see what happens. Because right now it's an offense that's stagnating. It's a forward group that is not really clicking at 100% that we've seen recently, especially earlier in the year when you go on a 5-1, go 5-1-0 on the road trip in Western Canada. It's trying something different. I know a lot of people aren't liking it. It's definitely weird seeing some of those lines and how they are, but it's just, I guess you do it now in practice and see where it goes into the first game. You still have a 4-game homestand that's kind of spread out over a different number of days. So I guess it's just trying something different and seeing where it goes from there, instead of trying to do it mid-game where it doesn't really do much. But overall, I think it's just the forward group. It's an overall team mentality of sticking with it for 60 minutes. And Rod Burnmore says it in the interview, which we're going to hear in a second, to where there's lapses of just like they're playing good hockey, and then they almost seem like they almost get content and then don't stay up to the standard that Rod and the coaching staff has set, which definitely is concerning for sure. But I don't think it's like DEFCON levels of hit the panic button like some of these other teams are. Because like I said in segment 1, this team's a lot farther than what a lot of people thought. And yeah, every team hits a bad stretch, but the Hurricanes are still 17-9-1. Good spot in the Metro. They're, a lot farther ahead than what people thought they were going to be. So while this is not a great stretch of games right now that they've been on, this team is still playing some really good hockey despite that. While there are some lapses here and there, it could be a lot worse for sure. So I guess it's just, I know it's a lot of, well, what's this team going to do? But I mean, expectations weren't high coming into the season for the Hurricanes. They're just exceeding the expectations right now. Now they're in a tough spot, but it's not something that's going to get worse. I think it's just going to be a blip on the radar. There's going into the Sharks game, there's 55 games left in the season. That's a lot of hockey left. We're still like early December. So we still have a long way to go, but without further ado, without me continuing to ramble on, guys, we're going to jump into the Rod Burnmore interview that after post-practice on Monday, get his thoughts overall, and then we'll talk about it here. Let's jump into that right now with Rod Burnmore.
I think we asked you about 5-on-5 offense a lot. What have you thought about your 5-on-5 defense as a unit?
The defense has been an issue the last 6 games, or really 5 of the 6 games, but we're giving up too many, it's not a amount of a whole bunch of chances overall, but there are too many good ones off the rush, and guys getting behind us. that's really been a real problem lately.
Is it an effort thing or
No, it's just taking breathers. It's just, we're with the guy, but he's behind us instead of us being in front of it. It's just, and it's not every time. It's just occasionally we're doing it. We're probably thinking we want to try to score, or we're just, I got to do something a little different, and it's costing us right now.
Did you sense that through the first maybe 20-ish games there weren't those breathers, or were other things
No,
covering those up?
I mean, again, you're going to make a bigger deal on this than it is, but there's 4 or 5 a game that are ending up in our net too, and that's another issue. But we can't be giving up like 2-on-1s and breakaways like we have out of nothing. There's nothing that they did. They just flipped it out, or they just shot it out. Guy took off, and we didn't go with them. So it's just being aware. Our awareness level needs to increase.
I've heard other coaches like Coach K mention when you have steady success year after year, sometimes teams forget how hard they have to work to keep it going.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's there's a certain standard of play that we've established here, and I think sometimes too, maybe power play is going good, and then but they forget that's a different game. That's a separate game than the other game that's going on. And we have to make sure that we're remembering, like you really just hit it on the head. It's every shift you got to bring it, otherwise you're rolling the dice.
Big thank you to Rod Berman of the Carolina Hurricanes for that. And yeah, you hear from Rod himself. He says it's just, you see that some games it's not a full 60. It's almost like they kind of turn off at some point, or they start too late. There's not that consistent 60 minutes that we used to see. Even earlier this season where you see them kind of on it right from the rip. It's just, ever since Utah, it's just been a weird phase of like you'll see them either start games and then fade off, or not start and then they take too long, or you kind of see them kind of lift the foot off the gas partway through the game. So it's like I said, it's like I said for Monday's show, it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, where it's kind of like they want to flip to the other side and then kind of snap back into it. And that's just a weird thing you're seeing right now with the Hurricanes. It's just, and Rod said too, it's the lapse of concentration of not sticking with guys, not sticking with plays. And it's just, and it's not even like the Hurricanes are tuning them out. Like you're seeing with the Rangers, how they've like won 2 games in their last 10. And now Pierre Laviolette is going to be once again on the hot seat, where we've seen it every year with him, where he's been with Carolina, Washington, now the Rangers, and everywhere else he's been. Laviolette stays, like he'll have a good first couple, like 2 or 3 seasons he's there, and then after a while it just drops off to where the guys start tuning him out. Rod's been in Carolina since 2018 as the head coach. They have not tuned him out, and I still don't think they're going to tune him out because of the importance and the stature of who Rod Brind'Amour is. I don't see them doing that to where it's, we're just going to tune Rod out and we're going to be fine with it. No, I don't see that happening because of what he is as a legend and what he's done for this team. And the track record of success is you don't tune a guy like that. And everyone says that they want to play for Rod, that they hate disappointing him. So I don't think they're tuning him out. It's just, it's whatever mentality is going on right now of getting content to where they're at. Like, we'll kick it into gear. Our skill will get us there, but it's an effort you have to put in for 60 minutes. And that's something you can't just rely on, like, okay, we'll just flip on the switch here in the third period and we'll do a comeback like we usually do. No, you can't do that in the NHL now. This isn't a league where you can just kind of like coast in it and then you're going to get points. Every team's got star players now. You have to be ready every game for 60 minutes. So I think that's just something that really needs to focus on, kind of figure out, because, and Rod says like nail on the head, it's just you're getting too content. You're not doing what you need to do for 60 minutes. And yeah, he's like, we're successful here. We don't have to keep, ramping it up. It's like, well, no, you got to keep doing it game in and game out. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on and hopefully kind of fixes up later on as we go, but we'll see how it goes from there. But guys, we will go into segment 3 here in a second, where we'll do my keys to the game and the players to watch. So stick around as we'll do that here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, View live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked on Hurricanes, your team every day. Now we're going to go into the keys to the game and players to watch, and going to keep it short and sweet on the keys to watch, on the keys of the game, guys. And it's just a play Hurricanes hockey for 60 minutes. Simple as that. There's no special teams. There's no. It's none of the normal stuff. This is a play 60 minutes of Carolina Hurricanes hockey. Structured defense. Transition from defense to offense, pinching at the right times, shutting the other team down, keeping them perimeter, sticking in front of guys so they don't get proper opportunities like we've seen recently where they're letting in 3-4 goals, multiple high danger chances. You have to limit the chances. You have to limit their ability to crash the net and stay away from, Kochekov or whoever's in the net. Probably going to be Kochekov. But you have to get back. You really need to get back to basics and play 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey, not this start late or start early and then kind of fade off or kick it into gear when it's too late. Right from puck drop, you have to be ready to go and play 60 minutes of not letting off the gas, forecheck like you're supposed to, transition like you're supposed to, and play that structured defense has shut down teams in the past. You have to beat the Sharks. Nothing against those guys, but they are 10, 15, and 5. This is a team where you have to go into Lenovo and beat them and do it properly, because you do not want to lose to a team where they're at right now. You have a 10-3-0 record at home. You're 17-9-1. Tuesday night should see an 18th win overall, 11 at home. You're back in the win column again, and hopefully this is a kickstart to what should be a good run for the Hurricanes. And that's just, like I said, it's simple. Play 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey, show up, finish it out, 60 minutes later, do what you've done best. Because we know how good this team can be. And yes, while they are a lot farther than what people think they're going to be, this team is still led by Rod Brind'Amour, and it still has the same core of leaders, guys who are stepping up, and this is the team that should be a threat and that people have recognized as a threat, and they need to do that and go back to that once again. Players to watch, I'm really curious to see how Andrei Svechnikov does in that third line, because we've seen him score 3 goals in the last couple games. He's on that third line with the Jordans. Let's see if him being on that line kicks him into gear and continues the goal run that he's been on, because we want to see that from him. If Pyotr Kochekov's in net, I want to see Pyotr Kochekov give up less than 2 goals. If it's 2 goals or less, great. Not all of them are on him. But this is a game where since coming back, this is a game where he needs to stand on his head and show everyone why he is the goalie of now and the goalie of the future. Because right now, I think he is that goalie. I think he is the guy for the Hurricanes. And this is a game where you kind of need him to show, okay, even if it's against a team like the Sharks, I'm going to put in 100% effort and shut them down and put this game out of the way early. And obviously, the guy I'm keeping an eye on, as always, Martin Necas. Is he going to go? I'm hoping he has another multi-point game to where he hits 30 assists, because that'd be fantastic if we see it 30 in 28 games. 30 assists in 28 games would be very, very huge. And I think if he does it, that'd be fantastic. So I'm looking for Martin Necas to have a multi-point night, at least 2 assists. If he gets a goal, that'd be great as well for him to hit 15. If he can hit 15 and 30 on the same night for 15 goals and 30 assists, and then you're up to 45 on the season, then awesome. I would love to see this. So I'm keeping an eye on Martin Necas to hit 45 points on the season and hit 15 and 30 in respects of goals and assists. So that's definitely a guy I want to keep an eye on. But let me know in the comments, what's your key to the game? Who are your players to watch as the Carolina Hurricanes host these San Jose Sharks, and hopefully avoid the jaws and make sure there's no boating accidents. And hopefully we cancel Shark Week this week. But guys, that will wrap up a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over all your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or listen to podcasts. Now, if you want to keep up with me, I'm a One True Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I am also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin. I do have a link tree in both of my bios where you can check out my articles at the Hockey Writers, where it's basically my author page where you can find all my articles there. If not, go to thehockeywriters.com, search for me, and you'll see all my articles over there at Zach Martin. If you want to check out my other podcasts, just go to the Searchcast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. And also for this show, Locked On Hurricanes on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen, leave a 5-star rating and review, because if you do, I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you don't miss an episode. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know if you like the episode as well. Share with all of your friends to become, that way those Caniacs become everydayers just like you. And like I said, in the comment section below, what are your keys to the game? Who are the players to watch for you, for your Hurricanes against the San Jose Sharks? But guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the Tuesday episode of the podcast. Hope everyone enjoys their Tuesday. Hope everyone enjoys watching the game of your Carolina Hurricanes against the Sharks, and hopefully we see win number 18 on the season. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.